Greetings! Today we're going to take a break from replays and try something a little bit different. I wanted to actually start a tutorial series of sorts where I kind of over-explain how to play Total Annihilation. With it being an older game, as well as a real-time strategy game, there really aren't as many accessible resources for learning as you might find for more modern titles. So hopefully I can help with that, and it will probably be in more of an episodical format rather than long form. That way it's just easier for me to manage time-wise, but also more digestible for you, so you can manage it a little bit easier time-wise. Early on, I'll probably cover a lot of stuff that many of you already know, but you never know what you might find in the basics or what epiphanies hearing them again might trigger. And as we progress further, we'll slowly get into more advanced things. My goal is to make a series easy enough to follow that hopefully even my partner, whom has little to no experience with PC gaming at all, will be able to stand toe-to-toe with someone who sucks at the game, like me. So you can expect this first video to be pretty basic stuff like common hotkeys, controls, how to do stuff that people take for granted. Before we get into all that, what is Total Annihilation, you ask? Why should you even play it? Imagine a world where you command an unstoppable army of futuristic machines, a game that lets you control thousands of units, wage colossal battles, and strategize your way to victory. Welcome to Total Annihilation, the game that redefined real-time strategy. In Total Annihilation, you start from scratch, constructing a base and gathering resources to fuel your army. But this isn't just any RTS. You're not limited to a mere handful of units. You have endless possibilities to build everything from ground units to air forces to massive artillery cannons and nuclear missiles. With each unit you deploy, you're not just sending troops in to fight. You're crafting a grand strategy. Do you want to bombard your opponent from afar with long-range artillery? Done! Do you prefer to overwhelm them with a relentless swarm of tanks and bots? Go for it! Or maybe you want to take to the skies and dominate with an aerial assault. The choice is yours! The battlegrounds aren't just maps. They're dynamic, beautiful pixels where every hill and valley can make or break your strategy. Terrain isn't just for looks, it impacts line of sight and range, making each battle a unique experience where strategy and environment go hand in hand. And as the battle heats up, there is nothing more satisfying than watching hundreds of your units clashing in an epic fight for dominance. Total Annihilation was groundbreaking when it came out, and it still holds up as one of the most intense, large-scale RTS experiences you can play today. And to top it all off, it has a grand, interactive soundtrack that was crafted by none other than Jeremy Soule. The music changes dynamically depending on what's happening in the game. Did an intense battle just break out? The music's going crazy. Is everyone sitting back and playing SimCity? The music's doing its thing for that too. Plus, every game revolves around your most valuable unit, the commander, who is akin to your king in a game of chess. You must protect him at all costs, because if it's taken out, your war is basically over, Commander. But he's no pushover. It's your greatest weapon on the battlefield, capable of building, capturing enemy units, and destroying even the most powerful units in the game in a single shot and turning the tide of war. So if you're ready for a game that blends strategy, creativity, and explosive action like no other, dive into Total Annihilation. Build, command, and conquer. No, not that command and conquer. So join us on the battlefield and experience for yourself the RTS game that started it all. Total Annihilation. So yeah, now that I've completely made a fool of myself with that over-the-top narration, and I'm sure you are just waiting to play, let's bore you with the basics real quick. You know, the ones that are so simple that a lot of you probably don't even think about them. They've just kind of become integrated into your video game vocab, if you will. Left click is like your A button on a controller. It's what you want to use to confirm your actions, where right click would be like your B button on a controller, the one that will cancel your actions. This can, of course, be swapped in the options if you prefer to have right click as your default interface, as this does seem to be the industry standard at this point. But since left click is the default in Total Annihilation, we will stick with that for now. So whether you're trying to select one or multiple units, build structures, or queue up units, or issue a command, it's all done by left clicking. If you want to deselect units, subtract from your unit queue, or cancel an action or command before you confirm it. That part's important. Like canceling placement of a building or stopping an attack command before you issue it. All of that is done with right click. If we keep our focus on the mouse actions, we can go right over to the scroll wheel, which does give us access to the mega map. We will get into the mega map a bit more in detail later, but for now, all you really need to know is that it's essentially a giant interactive minimap, and scrolling down on the scroll wheel will zoom out into the mega map, while scrolling up will zoom in to the battlefield. The mouse may also be used to mark and draw on the battlefield when used in combination with the whiteboard key, which will default to \, but I do have mine set to F3 just so it's closer to the left side of the keyboard. With the whiteboard key held down, you can left click and drag to draw, right click and drag to erase, double left click to create a text or a marker with text, like a little dot with text. Or if you click in the scroll wheel, you will create an empty marker. You can change the hotkey for this and several other things by bringing up the window with Control F2. Most of these are in pretty good spots. Like I said, I just have a preference to use the whiteboard key with my left hand. So the whiteboard key, which we just covered, the auto click key, and the chat macro are pretty much all you need to know from this menu right now. The auto click key is bound to X by default, and it'll allow you to build lines and circles of structures. If you hold down the X key with the structure selected to build, whether it's Dragon's Teeth, solar panel, wind generator, what have you, maybe you want to build 20 different K-Bot labs. I wouldn't suggest it, but you can do it. You just hold X, you click and drag, and it'll create a line as far as you drag. If you hold X and hover over a unit, you'll build whatever you have selected in a circle, or I guess it's more of a square, but a square around that unit. And the spacing of both of these can be changed by scrolling up and down with the scroll wheel. And you will have to left click or right click depending on your options, but you'll have to click to confirm the placement after everything's mapped out. Pressing F11 will activate your chat macro, which can be edited in this menu. It's generally good manners to activate it at the start of the battle, as it will share any excess resources you acquire with your allies, as well as it will turn shoot all on, which pretty much just gives your units the okay to commit war crimes and fire on your enemy's civilian units. Like I said, you can safely ignore most of the other ones here and leave them as default, but if you ever do need to change them, just remember you pull this menu up with Control F2. This video is getting a little bit longer, so let's try to just rapid fire through some of the basic hotkeys. First and foremost, your shift key. Your shift key is your bread and butter. Holding down shift will allow you to queue up many different commands in order. And you better get used to doing this, because queuing up several commands will buy you time to focus your attention elsewhere, even if it's only for a few seconds. The name of the game is multitasking, so you need to find ways to buy yourself time in between tasks. It's like juggling, you know. If you throw the ball higher, you got more time to catch the other ball. If you do it real quick, well, it's going to be a lot more difficult. Maybe. I've never actually juggled, so so I can't tell you if that's true or not. However, each command will transform your cursor to a different shape, and when you have one or more units selected, the game will default to certain commands based on where your cursor is. Like if it's hovering over empty ground, left click is going to issue a move command. If you have units with weapons selected and you hover over an enemy unit, you'll get an attack an attack cursor that, you know, will tell your units to attack when you click. Likewise, construction units will get a reclaim cursor if hovered over an enemy unit, which eats them, basically. I wouldn't suggest it if it's something with a gun, but, you know, every now and then you might have a little fun with it. If you hover over any reclaimable features with a construction unit, like rocks, trees, and wrecks, you'll also get that little reclaim cursor. And if you hover over something that's currently under construction, you'll get a repair cursor and your construction unit will assist. The fancy term is nanolathing for things under construction, in case you wondered. Aside from a few special occasions, these are the ones that will automatically activate for you. And you can, of course, force these commands with hotkeys as well. Attack, they're all pretty self-explanatory for the most part. Like attack is used with A, like for attack. R is repair. Or repair is R, rather. Reclaim is a little different. Reclaim is used with E, which, if I had to guess, stands for eat. That's what I think, and you'll never be able to tell me different. And then, obviously, move is used with the M key for move. Easy, right? There are a few other commands and hotkeys that you have and you should use. The two most important ones are guard, which is used with G. It'll typically make a unit follow the one you tell it to guard. And say if it's an attack type unit, it'll follow this unit around and defend that unit. Or if it's a construction type unit, it'll follow that unit around and repair it when it gets damaged. Or if it's guarding another construction unit, it will actually help assist. So you can have like a couple construction K-bots guard your main one, and they'll all build the same things that the main one is building. And then we have patrol, which can be very useful as well. You can set units on a patrol path with P for patrol, and kind of similar to guarding, if it's an attack type unit, it will attack any enemy units that cross their path, while the construction type units will repair and assist allies as well as eat any reclaimables that they come across. Move and patrol commands can also be used with unit labs to set up rally points to converge at when they finish building, or if you want, you can have them move right out and just start a patrol path. on unit completion, of course. I do want to try to keep these on the shorter side, so we will wrap up for now. We were able to cover the bare bone basics. We got those out of the way. We don't got to look at those. I know a lot of people who already play Total Annihilation that might see this are like, man, this is the dumbest video I've ever seen. This is like first grade stuff. But you never know. Somebody might benefit from this information. If this kind of video does interest you at all, please do consider subscribing, liking the video, keeping an eye out for the future ones. Keep in mind, these are going to get progressively more advanced as we go, and they probably won't be as long as this one. I want to try to keep them between 10 and 15 minutes, ideally, but we will see. I mean, some subjects might require more time. In the next video, we are going to go over resource management, which is the crux for most RTS games, and we'll kind of touch on how Total Annihilation's resource system differs from other games in the genre. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching me humiliate myself with that ridiculous narration. And I hope you at least got as much of a laugh out of that as I did. And we'll see you in the next one.